Well, howdy there, Internet students. Mr. Hermanson again. Today we're going to start lesson 7.3b, the most important part of these lessons. And that is we are going to learn how to write systems of equations for a situation. Now, the reason this is so important is because in real life, there's always a way to find an answer to an equation using technology, but you need to know what those equations are. There's no technology that will take these words and put them into equations yet. So it's a very important part of algebra. So let's look at this first problem, see if we can figure it out together. It says the taller candle burns at a rate of 1.15 inches per hour. The shorter candle burns at a rate of 0.75 per hour. After how many hours will they be the same height? So the skinny candle, this one here, is burning faster than the other one. So at some point, they're going to even out. All right? So let's represent the height. Let's let y equal the height of the taller candle. It's 9 inches, but then we're going to subtract 1.15 inches for every hour that it burns. So let's let x be the number of hours. So x is our hours, and y is the height of the candle. Okay. Now, using a similar idea for the shorter candle, the height, y again, is equal to the initial height of the candle, which is 7 inches, minus how much is burned each hour. Now, since both of these equations are written in terms of y, I think the best way to solve this is just to put those into your graphing calculator and figure out where they cross. That would be the quickest way. The other way you can do it is we can use substitution. Since y has this value and y has this value, we can put, so I'll just put this number, the 7 minus 0.75, where this y is, and that gives me this equation. Like I said, there'd be nothing wrong with putting these into your calculator and just finding where they cross. Okay, now we're going to get rid of the smaller of the two numbers so that we get x on just one side. I'm going to add 1.15x to both sides, and that gives me 7 plus 0.4x equals 9. I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides, and that gives me 0.4x equals 2. And then dividing by 0.4, I get x equals 5. So in 5 hours, and we can calculate that out, how tall they are, but they're going to be the exact same height in 5 hours. So actually finding the answer is not that difficult. It's making equations. Once you have the equations, then you can get the answer. So there's a few different types of problems here that we want to focus on. Today I'm going to do this finding a break-even point and one other kind of problem, and then you'll practice those. And then tomorrow we'll do the other kind of types of problems. Anyway, but our goal is to try and learn how to write equations for this. So break-even point, if you own a business and you want to make profit, you have to take in more money than you're spending. Like, here's something really simple. So you buy a candy bar for 50 cents. If you sell it for 50 cents, you make no money. If you sell it for 75 cents, you make 25 cents. So the profit is the difference between the cost that for you and how much you sold it for. So we're going to use that idea. And what a business would want to know is, like, how many of something do they need to sell in order to break even? All right. So The puzzle expert wrote a new Sudoku puzzle book. The initial costs are $864. Binding and packaging each book costs 80 cents. So we're going to let this equation represent the cost. The costs are $864 plus this part, 80 cents per book. We'll let X be the number of books. Okay. Now the price of the book is $2. So an equation for how much you're getting for selling the books, that's called your income, would be 2 times X. Now to break even, we would want these two to be equal to each other. So if you want to solve it using substitution, you would do it like this. If you want to solve it on your calculator, then you would just put both those into your y equal and find where they cross. Okay. Now if I subtract 80x from both sides, I get $1.20x equals 864. Now all I have to do is divide 864 by that $1.20. And that'll tell me how many books I need to sell to break even. And that equals 720. If you sell 720 books, you're going to break even. If you sell less than that, you're going to lose money. If you sell more than that, you're going to make money. So this problem is similar. Why don't you try and write the two equations for it and see if you come up with the answer. You could check back and see if you. So if you sell 200 hats, your cost will be the same as your income, and you'll break even. So if you sell over 200 hats, you'll start making money. Less than 200 hats, you will lose money. Okay. All right, we're going to save this for the next time. Now, for this next problem, you're going to have to find, you might want to pause here, but you're going to have to find your extra practice sheet, I believe. And that sheet looks like this. I think you can handle this first problem here, but I want to look at a problem like this. We're going to do one more type of problem today. I'll show you how to set up the equations for that. So Kay spends 250 minutes a week exercising. Her ratio of time spent on aerobics to time spent on weight training is 3:2. So basically, she spends more time on aerobics than on weight training, and the ratio is 3:2. So like if she spent, just quick example, if she spent 30 minutes on aerobics, she would do 20 minutes of weights. That's kind of that idea there. But I'll show you how you can put that into equation. It says how many minutes per week does she spend on aerobics? Okay, so we know that her minutes exercising are 250. Let's let X be the number of minutes on aerobics and Y be the number of minutes on weight training. So we get this real simple equation, X plus Y equals 250. Now, since the ratio of weight training to aerobics is 3:2, we can just do this. We can basically say that for every 3 X's, that's equal to 2 Y's. Actually, I said that wrong because she's spending more time on aerobics. So for every 2 minutes she spends on aerobics, for every 2 minutes she spends on weight training, she spends 3 minutes on aerobics. So we get this. Okay. Now, for this, another way you can look at it, I could divide both sides by 2 and I could get X equals 3/2Y. Or if we take 1.5 times the number of minutes she spends on weight trainings, that'll be the number she spends on aerobics. Now I chose this way because now I can substitute for X. Now you don't have to do it this way. You could use your calculator, just solve them both for Y's if you like that better. But I end up with this equation. and that's 2.5. Y equals 250, and divide by 2.5, and that gives me 100. So 100 of her minutes are spent on weight training, and she spends 1.5 times that on aerobics, which means 150 on aerobics, and that makes sense. And if you think about this ratio, it'll be 3 to 2, and if you add those two number of minutes, they'll add up to 250. All right, I think that's all I need to talk to you about. You can go ahead and try some of those problems. It's really important that you learn how to write the equations. All right, remember, math is everywhere. Make sure you can find your way.